Snow fell softly against the old townhouse on Merrythorn Street, settling on the windowsills like powdered sugar on freshly baked cookies. Inside, the rooms were warm with the gentle glow of candlelight, and shadows danced quietly across antique furniture, as if whispering memories of many Christmases long past. In the corner of the living room, beneath garlands of holly and strings of golden beads, stood a familiar figure, a tall wooden Nutcracker soldier with a red uniform, white beard, and a polished black hat. He had been there every December for as long as the house had stood, placed carefully on the mantel by the family who believed he carried a hint of Christmas magic. On this night, when the first snow of the season touched the ground, something stirred inside the wooden figure, a tremor, a flicker, a heartbeat made of wood and memory. Then, with a soft creak, his painted eyelids fluttered open. The Nutcracker inhaled a slow breath, though he had no lungs. His wooden chest rose and fell as if waking from the deepest slumber. His joints, stiff with a year of stillness, loosened with quiet clicks. He blinked, turned his head, and looked out into the softly glowing room. "Another winter," he murmured to himself, voice low and warm, as though carved from an old violin. "Another Christmas." He stepped carefully off the mantel, landing on the rug with a muted thump. But the moment his boots touched the floor, he paused. Something was wrong. He placed a hand over his chest, where a tiny golden emblem, a star, was carved into his uniform. Usually, when he awoke each December, a feeling came with him, a purpose, a mission, a sense of what he was meant to do. But this year, the star felt cold, empty. He searched his mind, usually full of glimmers of some old dream, but all he found was a soft, confusing fog. "What was I meant to do?" he whispered. He could not remember. The Nutcracker turned slowly, gazing at the decorated tree, the stockings hung by the fire, the warm glow of the hearth. But none of these familiar sights stirred the memory he needed. Then he heard a soft gasp behind him. He turned. A girl stood in the doorway, clutching a wool blanket around her shoulders. She had puffy dark hair, sleepy eyes, and a gentle, curious expression. She couldn't have been older than 10 or 11. "Hello," she whispered. I knew it." The Nutcracker straightened respectfully. "Good evening, young miss." "I always thought you were alive," she said, stepping closer. "My dad says you're just a decoration, but I knew better." He bowed slightly. "Your eyes see more than most." The girl smiled shyly. "My name is Ella." "A pleasure, Ella." He tapped his hat. "I am Niklas." Ella blinked. "Niklas? I thought you were just the Nutcracker." "I suppose I am that as well," he said with a small smile, "but names have power, and that is mine." Ella stepped closer, studying him in the flickering light. "Are you okay? You look kind of confused." Niklas hesitated. "It is true. Something is amiss. I have awakened, but I cannot remember why. Each year I rise for a reason, some purpose tied to this season. But this time," he touched his chest again, "my memory is blank, as though someone gently erased a dream." Ella frowned thoughtfully. "Maybe you forgot because it's been so many years." "No," Niklas murmured. "No, I have slept for hundreds of Decembers, and yet I have never forgotten my purpose. Not once." Ella sat on the rug beside him. "What does it feel like? The memory you're missing?" He closed his eyes, searching inward. "It feels like a light I cannot reach. Like a song I used to know, but the melody slips through my fingers whenever I try to hold it. A dream I once lived, but cannot recall. he sighed. It is lonely. Ella tilted her head sympathetically. Then we'll find it. Your dream, I mean. His wooden brows rose. We? Of course. Ella smiled warmly. Nobody should be alone at Christmas. Not even a nutcracker. Warmth flickered inside Niklas's hollow chest. Something like gratitude. Something like hope. Your kindness humbles me, Ella, but I do not know where to begin. Ella's gaze drifted toward the attic door, an old wooden hatch halfway up the stairs. You know, she said softly, my grandma always said this house keeps secrets in its attic, and that they wake up too, at Christmas time. Niklas turned toward the hatch, his wooden spine tingled. Secrets? Ella nodded. She said there are things up there we only see when the first snow falls. The first snow, just like tonight. A faint sound drifted through the house then, a soft ticking, rhythmic and distant. Not the grandfather clock downstairs. This ticking sounded older, higher up. Niklas's eyes sharpened. Do you hear that? He whispered. Ella nodded slowly. It's been ticking every year on this night, but I never dared to check. Niklas rose to his feet in a smooth, soldier-like motion. Then perhaps your grandmother was right. Ella got up, gripping her blanket tighter. Are you scared? Only a little, Niklas admitted, but losing one's purpose is far more frightening than any shadow in an attic. Ella laughed softly. Then let's go. Together they climbed the creaking staircase. The ticking grew louder with each step, steady, old-fashioned, like a music box winding itself. When they reached the attic door, a faint glow seeped through its cracks. Ella swallowed. Niklas, is this normal? For Christmas magic, he whispered. Quite. He reached out and gently turned the handle. The door creaked open. Inside, the attic shimmered with dust like snow. And on the far wall, where nothing had been before, a brass-framed door covered in gears and clockwork glowed softly. Waiting for them, Niklas inhaled sharply. I remember this place, he murmured. Ella looked up at him. Does it help you remember your dream? Not yet, he said, but I believe this is where the path begins. Chapter 2, The Clockwork Door in the Attic. The attic smelled of old wood, forgotten books, and the faintest trace of pine. Dust floated gently through the air, catching the glow from the strange door on the far wall. Though Ella had been in the attic many times before, while chasing the family cat or searching for Christmas ornaments, she had never seen this door. It looked ancient, yet incredibly alive. Polished brass gears slowly turned along its frame, clicking softly in a pattern that felt almost musical. Tiny cogs and springs shimmered like stars, each piece moving with delicate precision. At the center, etched in swirling gold designs, was a small handle shaped like a snowflake. Ella tightened her blanket around her shoulders. Niklas, this wasn't here before. Magic reveals itself only when needed, he said quietly. Tonight the first snow fell, and with it came this door. Ella swallowed. What do you think is behind it? Niklas stepped forward slowly, wooden boots tapping lightly on the attic floor. If my memory is correct, and I admit it is not entirely today, this door leads to a place older than this house. Older than me. You're really old then, huh? Ella teased gently. Niklas smiled faintly. Only in years, not in spirit. He lifted one hand and touched the metal snowflake handle. Warmth radiated from it, though the attic air was cold. Ella hesitated. Do you think it's safe? Safe, Niklas murmured. Perhaps, but necessary. Yes. The gears quickened their turning, spinning faster as if responding to his touch. A soft chiming sound filled the attic, like distant bells ringing in perfect harmony. Ella stepped beside him. "If you go, I go." He bowed his head gratefully. "You honor me with your courage." Together they grasped the snowflake handle. A click echoed through the attic, sharp and bright. The door swung open. Behind it was not more attic, not dusty boxes or old trunks. Instead, a swirling, shimmering tunnel of pale blue and silver stretched forward like the inside of a giant music box. Snowflakes, not real ones, but made of pure light, drifted lazily inside. Ella's eyes widened. "It's beautiful." Niklas nodded, though he stood very still. Something about the tunnel tugged at him, like a half-remembered lullaby from long ago. A pull, a whisper, a memory calling his name. "Ella," he said softly, "this leads to the Winter Realm, a place hidden between moments, woven from the magic of Christmas dreams and childhood wonder." Ella swallowed. "Is your dream there?" "If it lives anywhere," Niklas murmured, "it would be there." Ella took a shaky breath. "Then let's find it." Niklas stepped forward first. The moment his wooden foot touched the shimmering floor of the tunnel, the air changed. It no longer felt like an attic. No more dust, no more cold. Instead, it felt warm and crisp, like the moment one steps into a room lit by 100 candles. Ella followed, gripping his sleeve. "It's like walking inside a snow globe." "That is an admirable comparison," Niklas said gently. The door swung shut behind them with a soft click, and the tunnel shifted under their feet, carrying them forward without them walking. They floated, surrounded by glittering gears, drifting snowflakes, and faint melodies that twined through the air like silver ribbons. Ella tilted her head. "Do you hear that?" Niklas listened. A song, soft, familiar, but broken somehow, like a music box missing one note. "I know this tune," he whispered, "but I do not know how." Ella reached for his hand. "Maybe your dream is hiding inside it." He squeezed her fingers gently. "Thank you, Ella." They drifted until the tunnel opened into a great archway of frosted glass. Beyond it stretched a vast landscape that looked like it was carved from sugar and magic. Snowy hills sparkled like crystal. Evergreen trees glowed with tiny lights. Candy cane bridges arched over frozen rivers of silver. Lanterns shaped like stars floated in the air, bobbing gently on unseen currents. In the distance, toy soldiers marched on peppermint pathways, while small creatures made of snow and marzipan scampered playfully. Ella gasped. "This is the Winter Realm?" Niklas looked out across the glittering world. "Yes, but it has changed. It seems brighter, and yet quieter." A strange heaviness settled in his wooden chest. "Something is missing." Ella pointed to a small village of gingerbread houses glowing in the distance. "Maybe the people here know you. Maybe they can help." Niklas hesitated. "Perhaps." They stepped from the archway onto a path of snow-softened gears and crystalline dust. Ella bent down to touch the ground. It melted on her fingertips, but left no water behind. "It feels like snow," she whispered, "but it isn't." "This realm is made of memories and dreams," Niklas said, "not earthly things." As they walked, creatures peeked out from behind frosted bushes. Snow foxes with icicle tails, gingerbread birds with wings of sugared lace, clockwork rabbits that ticked when they blinked. A small clockwork mouse with shining silver ears approached timidly, its gears whirred softly. "Greetings, Lord Niklas." Ella's mouth fell open. It knows your name. Niklas knelt down gently. Hello, little one. The mouse bowed. All in the winter realm know the guardian of Christmas dreams. Ella's eyes widened. Guardian? Niklas blinked. I was a guardian. The mouse nodded vigorously. Of course, but you have not visited us in many years. Ella whispered, because he forgot. The mouse's gears clicked in sadness. Ah, yes. The broken dream has been wandering. It casts shadows across our melodies. Niklas's wooden heart tightened. The broken dream. Ella tugged his sleeve. Then that's what we're looking for, your dream. Yes, the mouse said. It drifts near the center of the realm, in the land of lost echoes. Niklas felt something cold and sharp twist inside him. Why does the name frighten me? Because, the mouse said softly, that is where forgotten promises go. Ella squeezed his hand. Then that's where we'll go next. Niklas straightened slowly, the weight of memory pressing on him, yet hope lingered too. Lead the way, Ella. Together, hand in hand, they walked deeper into the winter realm. And somewhere behind them, faint but growing stronger, the broken melody followed. Chapter 3. The Land of Toy Soldiers and Sweet Snow Creatures. The winter realm stretched wide and shimmering around Ella and Niklas as they followed the silver gear path toward the distant gingerbread village. Snow, made of glittering sugar crystals, fell gently, vanishing as soon as it touched the ground. The air felt crisp, sweet, and full of something indescribable, a quiet kind of hope. As they walked, tiny marzipan owls perched on branches of peppermint trees, blinking their almond eyes curiously. A pair of clockwork rabbits hopped past, their metal paws clicking softly. And under the branches, something small and blue scurried alongside them, squeaking excitedly. Ella giggled. Everything here is alive, everything. Niklas nodded slowly, though his wooden expression was troubled. Yes, and they all remember me, but my own memories feel like shadows. Ella squeezed his hand. We'll find your dream. Promise. Niklas gave her a gentle nod, though the uncertainty in his eyes didn't fade. As they continued, the path widened into an enormous open field. The ground here was smooth and white, the surface glistening like polished ice. And marching across it in perfect rows were toy soldiers. Hundreds of them, painted in vibrant reds and blues, carrying tiny candy cane spears. Their boots clicked in steady rhythm, their drums beat softly, and their gold buttons sparkled like stars. Ella gasped, "Whoa!" The nearest row of soldiers halted. Then, as one, they lifted their spears in salute. "Commander Niklas returns," a soldier announced in a sharp, trumpeting voice. Ella looked up at Niklas. "Commander, you never told me that." Niklas looked just as shocked. "I didn't know." A tall soldier with a golden feather in his hat stepped forward. "We thought you had gone forever, sir. You vanished many winters ago." Niklas's brows furrowed. "How long has it been?" 50 winters in this realm," the soldier replied. "Much longer than that in the world beyond." Ella blinked. 50. But he's been in our living room every year." Niklas knelt, his wooden boots creaking softly. "Time flows differently here. A year for your world. Maybe a dream's lifetime here." Ella looked up at him with wide eyes. "So your dream has been lost for a long, long time." Niklas nodded slowly. "Longer than I ever imagined." Another soldier marched up, carrying a small silver tray. Upon it lay a folded piece of parchment, sealed with a wax stamp shaped like a star. The soldier offered it with utmost respect. "A message came for you during the last snowfall, Commander." Niklas accepted it with trembling hands. The seal crumbled into glittering dust as he opened the parchment. Inside was a single line. "Your promise waits where the echoes sleep." Ella whispered, "The land of lost echoes." Niklas stared at the words. He did not remember the promise. And yet, reading it made his chest ache, heavy and hollow. "What promise?" he murmured. The soldiers around him shifted uneasily. The captain cleared his throat. "Commander, you made many promises during your service to Christmas Dreams, but only one was great enough to echo like this." Ella stepped closer. "What was it?" The captain lowered his voice. "A promise you made to a child." Niklas froze. A child. A memory sparked, soft and faint, like the glow of a candle through fog. A small hand holding his. A tearful voice whispering something, a star-shaped ornament glimmering above. Then the memory slipped away. Niklas whispered, "I cannot see it." Ella placed a hand on his arm. "You don't have to remember it all at once. We'll piece it together." The soldiers nodded in agreement, but before anyone could speak again, the ground trembled. A wave of shimmering blue light swept across the field, carrying with it the faint, broken melody that had followed them from the tunnel. The soldiers stiffened. "The broken dream is near." Ella shivered. "Why does it sound so sad?" Niklas listened, heart twisting. "Because dreams that become lost turn hollow, and hollow dreams can become dangerous." The captain pointed toward the horizon, where the landscape shifted. "The land of lost echoes lies beyond the sugarwood forest. But beware, Commander, few return unchanged." "Then you must stay here," Niklas replied gently. "Your duty is to the realm." Ella nodded. "We can take care of ourselves." The captain saluted them. "May your dream find its way home, Commander." With that, the soldiers resumed their march, boots tapping in melancholy rhythm as they vanished into the snowy distance. Niklas looked down at Ella. "Shall we continue?" "Of course," she said brightly, though her voice held a tremor. "There's no turning back now." They walked toward the line of towering sugarwood trees ahead. Their branches sparkled like spun glass, and icicles chimed faintly in the wind. But as they entered the forest, the air grew heavier, quieter. The light dimmed. The shadows deepened. Strange creatures watched them from behind the trees. Frost foxes, peppermint sprites, gingerbread owls, each one whispering in soft, echoing tones. Niklas, guardian, lost promise, shattered memory. Ella held his hand tighter. "Don't listen to them, they're just echoes." Niklas nodded, though his jaw tightened. "Echoes of things forgotten have power here. We must tread carefully." They followed a narrow path that wove through the trees. The broken melody drifted from deeper within, guiding them forward. Ella looked up. "Niklas." "Yes?" "Are you scared?" Niklas paused. "I am not afraid for myself." "Then for what?" He looked down at her with soft wooden eyes. "For what we might find." Ella squeezed his hand. "Whatever we find, we'll face it together." He smiled gently. "Your courage humbles me." The melody swelled again, echoing between the crystalline branches. Ahead, the path opened into a dark clearing. A place where the snow no longer sparkled, where the forest fell silent, where the air felt heavy with forgotten things. The land of lost echoes. Niklas took a slow breath. "My dream is here," he whispered. "And it's time," Ella said softly, "to bring it home." Chapter 4. The Shadow of the Broken Melody. The land of lost echoes was unlike anything Ella had seen in the winter realm so far. The air felt heavier, thick with forgotten whispers and half-remembered dreams. The snow underfoot no longer sparkled but glowed faintly, like embers cooling after a long night. Here, light did not shine, it lingered. Ella shivered and wrapped her blanket tighter. Even the trees looked different. Their branches, once silver and sweet, were now darker, as though frost had taken a deeper hold. Between their trunks, translucent shapes flitted, memories that had lost their dreamers. Niklas slowed his steps, his wooden eyes scanning the shadows. "This place, I know it." "You do?" Ella asked, voice soft. He nodded. "Not from sight, from feeling. Something of mine sleeps here, something I once cherished." Ella took his hand. "We'll find it." Ahead, the path opened into a vast clearing at the forest's heart. In the center stood a structure made of ice-clear glass and winding gears, beautiful and haunting, like a frozen music box turned inside out. Ella whispered, "What is that?" Niklas stared, a faint tremor running through him. The Hall of Echoes. Even the air seemed to hush at the name. Long icicles hung from the ceiling, dripping slowly, though nothing ever hit the ground. Each drop turned into a tiny, glowing sphere, a forgotten memory, before drifting upward into the rafters. At the hall's center stood a pedestal of crystal. Upon it lay a single glowing, wavering strand of light, twisting and flickering like a flame caught in a storm. Ella stepped close, her breath fogging in the cold. "Is that a dream?" Niklas's voice was barely a whisper, a broken one. It hummed faintly, soft, sad, incomplete. The same melody that had followed them since the clockwork door. Ella swallowed. I think it's yours." Niklas stepped forward, wooden boots echoing sharply in the quiet hall. He reached for the strand of light, but hesitated, as if afraid to touch it. "What if it isn't mine?" he murmured. Ella shook her head. "Then why did it follow you?" He said nothing. Instead, he reached out gently and let his fingers brush the glowing thread. At once, the Hall of Echoes transformed. With a sharp breath, Ella watched the walls of glass dissolve into visions, soft, shimmering scenes swirling like snowflakes in the air. A small room, a child's bedroom, soft candlelight, a wooden desk, and a little girl crying quietly into her pillow. The girl was not Ella. She had golden hair and red pajamas, and her tiny hands clutched a wooden nutcracker with bright paint and a polished hat. Niklas froze. "It's you," Ella breathed. The little girl whispered through tears, "I don't want to be alone tonight." Niklas, in the vision, was still wooden and still. But the real Niklas, standing beside Ella, felt a crack through his chest, as if a forgotten heartbeat echoed again. Another scene shifted into view, the same child sitting by a frosty window on Christmas Eve. Snowflakes fell thickly outside. She hugged the nutcracker close and whispered, "Please stay with me. Please don't leave." Ella touched Niklas's arm. "She loved you." The visions swirled faster now. The child grew older, each year holding him. The nutcracker would awaken each winter, though she never saw him move. She believed in magic deeply, desperately. And then, a final scene. The girl, now older, packing a suitcase. She placed the nutcracker in a box carefully, gently, whispering, "I wish you could come where I'm going. But grown-ups don't believe in magic. I'm sorry." She tucked him away and closed the lid. The vision froze, then dissolved into shimmering dust. Niklas's wooden voice trembled. She left. And because she no longer believed, I could no longer reach her. My dream slipped away. Ella frowned. But what was your dream? The broken thread of light pulsed in answer. As Niklas touched it again, the entire hall filled with warmth. Visions bloomed again, softer now, the child whispering, "You're my Christmas guardian." Ella's breath caught. Your dream was to protect her. Niklas closed his eyes, pain and understanding rushing through him. Yes, I vowed to be her guardian, to watch over her each winter, to bring comfort when she was lonely. And when she left, Ella asked gently, when she packed me away, her belief faded, and her dream faded with it. He touched his chest. Without a dream to protect, I fell into silence. For years, decades. Ella squeezed his hand. You didn't fail her. She grew up. That's all. Niklas looked down at her with a sorrowful smile. But her loneliness grew up too, and I could not follow. The broken melody, his lost dream, began to pulse brightly, as though awakening to his realization. Ella stepped closer to the thread of light. Take it back. Niklas hesitated. If I do, it will hurt. How do you know? Because forgotten dreams always ache when they return. Ella held his hand. Then you won't hurt alone. And with that, Niklas wrapped his wooden fingers around the trembling strand. A burst of light filled the hall, warm and fierce. Niklas's whole body shuddered as memories rushed into him. Promises whispered under snowfall, nights spent beside a lonely child, the warmth of belief, the purpose of guarding a heart too small to protect itself. His legs buckled. Ella caught his arm. Niklas, are you okay? He breathed shakily. I remember everything. The hall steadied. The thread of light merged into the star carved on his chest. The emblem glowed bright gold, warming the cold hall. But something else stirred. From deeper in the shadows, a shape began to form. Dark, wavering, fragile. The broken dream. Now that Niklas had reclaimed his memory, the broken dream had taken shape. A hollow, shadowy replica of himself, flickering and trembling, made of all the pain he once carried. Ella stepped back. Niklas, what is that? He stared at the figure. It is the part of me that believed I had failed, the shadow born from forgetting. Ella's voice was soft. What do we do? Niklas squared his shoulders. We face it, and we free it. Because no dream should stay broken. Not his, not the child's, not anyone's. He stepped toward the trembling shadow, his star now blazing bright. The echoes of the hall held their breath. Chapter 5. The Promise Under the Falling Snow. The shadowy figure at the far end of the Hall of Echoes trembled like a candle flame caught between light and darkness. It had the shape of Niklas, a tall Nutcracker soldier, but its edges flickered, its colors fading and returning, as if it could not fully exist. Hollow eye sockets glowed with the same broken blue as the melody that followed them. Ella pressed against Niklas's side. Is it really you? No, Niklas murmured. Not me, not anymore. It is the dream that broke away from me, the part I abandoned when I forgot. The shadow stepped forward, its wooden feet scraping the icy floor in slow, dragging motions. Each step echoed through the hall like the crack of a frozen branch. Niklas, it whispered, its voice splintered and cold. Why did you leave? Niklas flinched, sorrow washing over him. I didn't mean to. I was shut away, forgotten. You promised, the shadow hissed. You promised to protect her, and you failed. Ella tugged Niklas's coat sleeve gently. Don't listen to it. It's angry. But it's not the truth. The shadow's hollow eyes snapped to her. Promises are truths. and broken truths become shadows. It reached toward Ella with a trembling hand of icy darkness. Niklas stepped protectively in front of her, raising a wooden arm. "You will not touch her," Niklas said, voice firm despite the tremor. The shadow wavered. "You protect this child, but not the one before. You let her grow alone. You let her forget you." "And I grieved that," Niklas whispered. "I grieved it so deeply that a part of me broke." The shadow recoiled as if struck. Ella stepped around Niklas, eyes steady. She didn't forget because she wanted to. She grew up. She didn't stop loving him. She just didn't know how to believe anymore. The shadow's form flickered violently, as though her words hit something fragile inside it. Niklas took a careful step forward. "I made her a promise to stay with her through long winters, to guard her when she felt small. I failed to keep that promise only because I lost myself, not because I stopped caring." The shadow shrank, curling inward. Niklas continued softly, "And now, there is another child." He placed a gentle hand on Ella's shoulder. "This child still believes, and I will protect her with the same devotion, for as long as she needs me." Ella's eyes warmed. "And she won't pack you in a box, ever." The shadow trembled, flickering like frost melting in sunlight. "And what of my hurt?" it whispered. Niklas stepped toward it, his wooden boots echoing with quiet resolve. "Your hurt is mine. You were born the moment I thought I had failed. You carried years of sorrow I could not bear. But you are not meant to wander alone." The shadow's empty eyes seemed to shine with a thin, wavering light. "Then, what am I?" "You are my pain," Niklas said, "but also my memory, my promise. Without you, I would never understand what I owe." He extended a hand. "Come home." The shadow stared at his offered hand with disbelief, then reached out slowly, trembling. When its fingers touched his, a shockwave of soft blue light rippled through the hall. The cold air warmed. The icicles hanging from the ceiling glowed gold. Ella watched with wide eyes as Niklas's wooden star shone brightly, pulling the shadow inward. It wasn't violent, it was gentle, like a sigh, like a fading sadness, returning to where it belonged. The broken melody rose, stronger, clearer, and then resolved into a single perfect note. The shadow dissolved into a stream of light and flowed into the star carved into Niklas's chest. He gasped, knees buckling. Ella rushed forward to steady him. "Niklas, are you okay?" He placed a hand over his chest, where the star now pulsed with warm, brilliant light. "Yes," he breathed. "I am whole." Ella smiled brightly. "Then, your dream is back?" "Yes. And not just the dream." He looked toward the fading visions around them. "I remember the promise." Ella sat beside him on the icy floor. "What was it?" Niklas took a slow breath. "Long ago, that child, her name was Clara, held me during a particularly lonely winter. Her parents had gone away for the holidays, and she was afraid of being alone in the darkness." Ella nodded softly. "And you were all she had?" "Yes, and she whispered to me, 'Please don't leave me tonight.' His voice was gentle. I vowed I never would. I promised to be her guardian, to chase away her fears, to keep her warm in the coldest nights." "And you did," Ella whispered. "I tried," Niklas said. "But when she grew older and packed me away, I thought my promise had no meaning anymore." "But it did," Ella said, taking his wooden hand. "She wasn't alone because of you. You helped her through the years she needed you. And now—" She looked up at him with a bright, gentle smile. "Now you're helping me." Niklas touched his chest again, feeling the steady warmth of his restored purpose. Yes, my promise continues. A guardian's heart is meant to protect any child who believes. Ella hugged him suddenly, fiercely, burying her face against his red-painted coat. Then I'm really glad you came back to life tonight. Niklas wrapped a careful wooden arm around her. As am I, Ella Hartwell, more than you can know. The hall's shimmering visions faded, replaced once again by cool frost and drifting memory orbs. A gentle wind stirred. The walls of the Hall of Echoes began to shift, revealing a new path glowing with soft golden light. Ella rose. What now? Niklas stood tall and straight, the glow in his star growing stronger. Now we return, because there is someone else waiting for us. Who? He looked down at her with a warm, knowing smile. You. Ella blushed and laughed lightly. I'm right here. Yes, he said softly, but your world is not, and your Christmas morning awaits. Ella's eyes widened. We can go home? Niklas nodded. And this time, I go with you. Hand in hand, they stepped toward the glowing path, leaving the land of lost echoes behind. Ahead lay the final journey, not of loss, but of warmth, of wonder, and the rediscovery of Christmas magic. Chapter 6. The Dream Found Again. The golden path carried Ella and Niklas gently out of the Hall of Echoes. With every step, the cold heaviness of that place faded, replaced by a soft warmth that made the air shimmer like firelight reflecting off snow. The broken melody that had haunted them grew steady and whole, becoming a peaceful tune, familiar, comforting, like a lullaby hummed beside a Christmas hearth. Ella exhaled slowly. It feels lighter now, like the whole realm is breathing again. Niklas nodded, his wooden star glowing warmly. When a lost dream is mended, the realm heals with it. As they emerged from the forest, the winter realm brightened. Snowflakes drifted lazily as though waking from a long slumber. Peppermint trees chimed softly. Gingerbread birds sang in gentle, sugary trills. Even the clockwork rabbits hopped with renewed energy, gears clicking cheerfully. It's all changing, Ella whispered. Not changing, Niklas corrected softly, restoring. The realm was wounded by my forgotten promise, but now, he looked down at Ella with a soft smile, it is whole again. They followed the path back toward the archway where they had first entered the winter realm. The air shimmered with crystalline snowflakes, and tiny orbs of golden light danced around them, echoes of remembered joy. As they walked, figures emerged from the snow-covered hills, toy soldiers marching in formation, marzipan owls circling from above, gingerbread creatures waving tiny icing-dusted paws. A clockwork mouse scurried forward and bowed. The guardian has returned to his purpose. Niklas knelt, gently touching the mouse's tiny head. And I shall not abandon it again. Ella smiled proudly, but as they approached the archway, a new feeling stirred in her chest. Something heavy, like a snowdrift settling on her heart. Niklas felt her hand tighten. Ella, she bit her lip. When we go through that door, will you go back to being a decoration again? He paused, truly paused, as if the question rooted him in place. His wooden brow lowered thoughtfully. When I returned to life tonight, it was because the first snow fell, and because you believed. Ella frowned. So, you'll sleep again? No, Niklas said, not sleep. I will rest. Guardians only live when they are needed. Ella's eyes glistened. But I need you now. He smiled gently and knelt down so their eyes met. And I am here now. But when Christmas ends, her voice cracked. What if I need you then too? Niklas reached out and placed a warm wooden hand on her cheek. Ella, you are brave enough to carry the magic without me. That is how it has always been with children who believe. You don't need me every moment, only in the moments when the world feels too big. Ella's lip trembled. But what if it feels too big tomorrow? He rested his forehead gently against hers, his paint cool against her skin. Then tomorrow I will awaken, just as I always have. She blinked. You mean, not just on Christmas? Niklas opened his palm. In it lay a tiny shimmering snowflake of light, the last echo of his restored dream. This belongs to you, he said softly. Ella gasped. But I can't keep your dream. What if you lose it again? Niklas shook his head. It is not my dream anymore. My promise was to Clara long ago. She grew up, and so did her dreams. You, Ella, woke me tonight. You gave me purpose again. He placed the glowing snowflake gently in her hands. It melted into her skin, leaving a warm pulse in her palm. Your belief made my dream whole, he said. And now my dream is this, to guard you. As long as you keep believing, I will never be far. Tears spilled down Ella's cheeks. I won't forget you. Niklas smiled tenderly. Then neither will the magic. The archway shimmered before them, swirling with snow and silver gears. The winter realm hummed with soft, peaceful music as if bidding them farewell. Ella took Niklas's hand. Let's go home. Together they stepped through the archway. A rush of warm attic air surrounded them. The brass clockwork door clicked softly closed behind them, gears slowing to a gentle stop. The attic was quiet again, dust motes drifting in the light, wooden beams creaking softly under winter's chill. Ella looked down. Niklas was wooden once more, still, frozen in pose, a Nutcracker soldier holding a tiny wooden sword, painted eyes gazing forward with courage carved into his features. Yet something was different. The star on his chest glowed faintly, warm, golden, pulsing like a small heartbeat. Ella touched it gently, and the warmth spread into her fingers. You're still here, she whispered. Her father's voice drifted faintly from downstairs. Ella, are you awake? She wiped her tears quickly. Coming. Before leaving the attic, she gave Niklas one more gentle hug. Merry Christmas, she breathed. Thank you for your dream. And as she turned to go, she thought she heard a whisper behind her. Very faint, very soft, very warm. Thank you, little one. The next morning, Merrythorn Street glowed with golden sunlight. Ella rushed down the stairs, laughter bubbling in her chest. Gifts waited under the tree, but she didn't reach for them. Instead, she reached for the Nutcracker. His paint gleamed. His star glowed softly. Ella lifted him into her arms. You woke me, she whispered, and I'll never let you be forgotten again. Far outside, snowflakes drifted gently past the window, each one shining with the same golden light. Because magic stayed where it was believed in. Because dreams, once mended, do not fade. And because Ella Hartwell had found her Christmas guardian, forever.